Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this morning's daily meditation session. Really lovely to see you all logging on and saying hi there in the sidebar. My name's Caroline. I'm one of the Sangha Live team. Some of you may know me from the Sunday sessions, which I host pretty regularly. And I also work on email support and other things, so you may have come across me over email as well. So really good to be here. I have been joining some of the sessions with Martin over the last few weeks, which I've been really enjoying, and I know that many of you have been finding the sessions of benefit as well. So it's lovely to be here hosting today and introducing Kyra Jewell. Many of you will know that Martin hasn't been particularly well the last few weeks, and he's taking the rest of this week off to concentrate on recovering. He's doing okay, a little bit up and down, but he's getting there, I think. So yeah, if this is your first time joining us, a particular welcome to you, and just to let you know how it's going to work this morning. So Kyra Jewell is one of our regular teachers at Sangha Live, and she's kindly offered to step in for the rest of this week to cover for Martin. And she will be offering 10 or 15 minutes or so of reflection at the beginning of the session. We'll then be going into a half-hour meditation. And then at the end, we have the opportunity to ask questions. So there are two ways to ask a question if you'd like to do that. There's an ask a question box, which you'll see there right under the video screen. And you can pop your question in there for Kyra Jewell, and she can answer that. Alternatively, we do offer the opportunity for you to come on screen and ask your question that way. And if you would like to come on screen, the best way to do that is actually write a message in the sidebar where you're all saying hello, and I can invite you on and bring you on screen, and you can have a bit more of a dialogue with her. So that's how the session will be running. Also, just to mention that we have ongoing running costs that are generated by what we do here. We have many costs related to the platform, many costs generated by marketing, just by the day-to-day administrative costs, and we only receive money through your donations. We don't get money from anywhere else. So we'd be really grateful if you're able to donate anything at all. It will enable us to keep on doing this every day and supporting you during this period of lockdown. So it's easy to donate. There's a donation button right under the screen there, a big green button, and you can just click on that button, and that will give you some different options for donating. And your donations will go towards meeting our running costs and also towards Kyra Jewell's. The donation will be divided between us and Kyra Jewell, who's generously offering her time today. So I'm going to bring on Kyra Jewell. Hi, Kyra Jewell, welcome.
Hi. Thank you, Caroline.
No problem. And I'm going to take myself off, and it's over to you.
Thank you. So welcome, everyone. It's good to be back with you again today. And hope you had a good rest of your Earth Day yesterday after our session together. So today I want to speak about a teaching that's been really important for me, and I want to speak about a teaching that has kind of formed the core of my tradition's focus. So Thich Nhat Hanh, my teacher, would say that the basic, most essential teaching of Plum Village is, I have arrived, I am home. So this teaching is an invitation to come home to ourselves in the present moment, to experience our true home, which is the only home we really have and can rely on, is the home inside of ourselves. So we may have a physical home that can be taken away from us, that can be destroyed, but there's a home inside each of us that can never be destroyed, cannot be taken from us. So that's the safest place to take refuge, especially in times like these when everything around us is shifting and changing and unreliable and could be quite painful. One of you mentioned in the question area that you feel like every day is a roller coaster. So learning how to come back and to touch this place of stability inside is the practice. So I have arrived. It means I'm already here. I don't have to get there. I'm already here. And I am home. I'm already where I need to be. Master Lin Chi, a Chinese Zen teacher, said, "You already are what you want to become." So when we experience the home inside of ourselves, we see that our work is already done, that there's nothing more we have to accomplish. We don't have to attain something else outside of us. So there's a poem that I'll be using as the guide for our meditation today that we can connect with our breathing. So we breathe in, I have arrived. Breathe out, I am home. So this sense of inviting all of ourselves to arrive, right? And then we breathe in the here. We breathe out in the now. So that's the address of our true home, is here and now. So this home that we come back to in the present moment, it's like a house. And the challenge is that so often we're absent from this house. We're caught in our thinking, in our worries, in our plans, projects. We're getting pulled away into the past, into the future. And so we leave our house abandoned. And when we do that for a while, shady characters can come and start to take residence in our home. So tension accumulates in our body and mind, stress, illness. But when we come back to our home, we put the house in order. When we make the U-turn from losing ourselves in things externally, and we come back and we focus on how we're doing, what our body is experiencing right here and now, what our mind is experiencing in this moment, then we have a chance to actually assess what's going on in the house and do something about it. If we're lost and we've abandoned ourselves, then we can't take care. So there's a story Thich Nhat Hanh shares that I love, of a time when he lived in a hermitage in a forest in France. And it was a beautiful day, so he opened all the windows and the doors of his hermitage, and he decided to take a picnic and go and enjoy being outdoors for the day. But then a storm came, and very cold winds and strong rain. And so he went back to the hermitage, and everything had been blown about by the storm. The papers he was writing were all blown everywhere. The fire had gone out in the fireplace. And so the first thing he did was close all the windows and all the doors. And so for us, it's like, maybe we need to, if there's a storm, if we find that our home is not so cozy, the fire has gone out, papers are everywhere, then the first thing we need to do is
Hi, everybody. Could you let me know if you could see me at the moment? I know that some of you are having problems with seeing Kyra Jewel. So it would be great if you could let me know if you can see and hear me. You can. Okay, great. Okay. We have been having some.
Can you hear me now? I refreshed because it seemed like people had lost me.
I could see you, but it seemed everybody else couldn't. So
Okay.
can you all see Kyra Jewel now? If you could let us know, that would be great. Okay. So I'll just wait to see if you can see Kyra Jewel in particular.
Yeah, everyone's putting in the chat that they can.
I'm going to
Great.
take myself off again.
Okay. So sorry, you all. Thanks for your patience. I think was the last thing you heard, was it about closing the windows and the doors? The first thing we need to do, thank you for reminding me, Emma. Yeah, so the first thing we need to do when we have all these disturbances is to close the windows and close the doors to prevent our mind from continuing to be whipped up and disturbed. So we might turn off the news, turn off the social media. If we're in a conflict conversation with other people, then we want to stop the conversation to somehow take care of ourselves. And so that way we can put the papers in order in our home. We can refresh ourselves. We can relight the fire. And so we do this by coming back to the present moment, in the here, in the now. We experience life as it is. So we bring the parts of ourselves back home that were, caught up and pulled into the future or some other place. And we come back and we really occupy this moment. We take our seat, just taking one seat, right? So we really let ourselves ground in our body, in our mind. And so the next practice in the meditation is, I am solid, I am free. And so when we come home to ourselves and put things in order, we touch a kind of confidence in ourselves that we have stability, we have solidity, that we are capable of weathering a storm. And that helps us to touch our freedom. Because if we think of a tree in a storm, even if the tops of the branches are waving back and forth violently, if we look down, if it's a big, strong tree, we look down at the trunk isn't moving. It's solid. And there's great freedom in realizing we have that capacity. There's freedom in knowing that we can work with our fear, with any emotion, that it can come, and we can be skillful with it and care for it rather than be overwhelmed by it. And in fact, every strong emotion, as uncomfortable as it might be, has something really important to teach us. So we don't want to resist it. We don't want to try to avoid it. So Pema Chodron speaks about the mind training slogans, Lojong, from Atisha, a famed Tibetan teacher. And they talk about utilizing our difficulties and problems to awaken our heart. So it's actually using them, turning toward them. And they're very precious if we know how to be with them. So that's what allows us to touch freedom, is not being afraid, knowing that, or even if we are afraid, knowing that we can be with our fear, that fear doesn't have to take us over. So this is the practice that we'll try together now, arriving and coming home. So I invite you to find as comfortable a position as you can. It might be how you're sitting now, but if there's any adjustment you want to make, please make them. So you can lie down for this, you can stand, you can sit. We'll be here for some time, 25, 30 minutes, so do feel comfortable. So beginning to feel your body. Feeling the three-dimensionality of your body in whatever position you're in. Letting your body open and settle and take up the space that it's taking up. So feeling the front part, the sides, the back, feeling the bottom part and the top of your body. Noticing the air surrounding you. The temperature of the air. Noticing the feeling of your clothing on your skin. Beginning to feel the breath. Feeling the flow of the in-breath, the flow of the out-breath. Yes, resting in your breath. Just feeling the breath coming in and flowing out. At this moment in time, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do. feeling the body settling, giving its weight to the earth, and experiencing the breath, or if the breath isn't helpful for you right now, just feeling the sensations of the body. Noticing contact, pressure, heat, coolness, heaviness, lightness, tension, ease. Opening yourself to feel what's here in the body. Now we practice. I have arrived. I am home. If you find it helpful, feel free to bring in the breath. Breathing in, I have arrived. Breathing out, I am home. And then just letting the keywords arrived and home keep your mind focused. Gathering back the different parts of yourself that may be pulled away into past or future. Letting all of these parts of yourself arrive and be at home. Feeling at home in yourself just as you are. Welcoming everything. Making space for whatever is here in your body, in your mind. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, something you wish for or something you don't wish for. See if you can welcome all of these parts of yourself home. If there's any tidying up to do in your home, taking the time to put some things in order or take care of some things that need your care. Could visualize yourself coming back if you've been away for a while. Coming back and closing the windows, closing the doors if that's what's needed. Relighting the fire, making your inner home cozy again. I have arrived. I am home. And now we practice in the here and in the now. You could combine that with your breath if you like, breathing in the here, breathing out in the now. And the key words here and now that ride on the breath. Letting the words be an anchor for you, grounding you in this moment, in this place. Experiencing whatever is here in your body, in your mind. Opening to whatever is now. Noticing how that's changing all the time. Thoughts are changing, shifting, body sensations are shifting. Getting curious, getting interested. What's here now? And now? And now? Dwelling firmly in the here, dwelling firmly in the now. The address of our true home. And noticing if you're getting pulled somewhere else, some other time, some other place. And you can smile to that very natural occurrence if it's happening for you. And gently welcoming yourself back whenever you notice that you've gone off to some other place, some other time. Just welcome yourself back with in the here, in the now. Feeling the body, the rhythm of the breath, the sensations, or the sounds around you. All these things can anchor you in the here and now. Whichever one is helpful to you, just bring your attention there, to the flow of the breath, the coolness of the in-breath in your nose, the warmth of the out-breath in your nose. Or other sensations in the body. Noticing how sensations come and go, and change and shift. We're experiencing the landscape of sounds around you. How this changes. The play of sounds coming and going. There's always something in the here and now that can ground your attention, that can be an object of your interest. And now we explore, I am solid, I am free. This can be with the inhale, I am solid. With the exhale, I am free. And then the key words that ride on the breath: solid, free. When we come home to ourselves, we touch our stability, our solidity. We touch our freedom. We free ourselves from the entanglements of our thinking and our worries, all our expectations of what's to come. We find we are like that strong, solid tree. The trunk doesn't move even in a very violent storm. The trunk is stable. You can feel that stability in your own belly as you feel solid. To whatever extent you're able to return and find your home in the here and now, to that extent you find solidity and freedom, capacity to weather the storms of life. So appreciate whatever amount of stability and freedom you find. No judgment. Smiling to your solidity, to your freedom. I am solid. I am free. Solid, free. There's nothing we need to become. There's nothing we need to do. It's already here. Let yourself bathe in that. Solid, free. Now we practice the final exercise. In the ultimate, I dwell. When we come home to ourselves, when we touch our solidity, our freedom, we realize we're much vaster than we thought. In our daily lives, we may see ourselves as a wave that has a beginning and an end, that's tall or short, that's moving fast or slow. But as we come into stillness and touch our true home, we bend down and we touch our true nature as water. We're wave, but we're also water. And water is not defined by beginning and ending, high or low, tall or short, fast or slow. A wave might fear coming to an end, but water doesn't. Water, the vast, immense ocean, it has no fear. So now we connect with our ultimate dimension. We have a historical dimension, but we have also a much bigger reality to who we are. We're all of life. So we dwell in the historical, but we also dwell in the ultimate. We touch our nature of immense spaciousness, immense freedom, and our deep interconnection with all that is. You can practice this with the breath, breathing in the ultimate, breathing out, I dwell, or simply the words, in the ultimate, I dwell. Even if you're on a roller coaster, you can touch your ultimate nature as everything. Then whatever the roller coaster does, taking you up and down and upside down, you're not afraid because you are everything else as well, not just yourself on that roller coaster. When you zoom out and get a bigger perspective, you find yourself at home, at peace, whether we're going up, whether we're going down, whether things are pleasant, whether they're unpleasant, whether life is unfolding as we expected or whether it's completely disrupted. In the ultimate, I dwell. Arrived, arrived, at home, I am at home, dwelling in the here and dwelling in the now, solid as a mountain, free as a white cloud. The door to no birth and no death is open, free and unshakable. So I invite you now to feel your body, feel your breath, feel the atmosphere in the room around you, and gently begin to bring your awareness back. Thank you for your practice. free to stretch or make any movements that bring activity back into the body. And we'll move into questions and answers now. So we have a chance now to ask questions. Thank you for what you're sharing in the chat. I'm so glad that this was helpful for you. And one of you asked in the question area, could you remind me of the 5 happinesses you mentioned on Monday? Sure, and maybe someone can write these in the chat too to help us all. The first one, so these are scientific practices that help us to, it's evidence-based that they increase our happiness. The first one is to meditate or pray. And the second one is to exercise, to do something to move our bodies. The third is to be aware of 3 things. The fourth is to practice a random act of kindness, or to be kind to someone without any expectation of return. And the last one is moment. So to, at the end of the day or at some point in the day, looking back and being aware of what was one thing that was beautiful from the day. Yes. Thank you, Emma, for taking attitudes. 3 things we're grateful for was number 3. Okay, so another question from Danielle. Can you tell us again the second part of the 4th practice? So in the ultimate, I dwell. So breathing in the ultimate, breathing out, I dwell. Really here in the I dwell, I live in this ultimate dimension, in the ultimate reality. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie and Emma, for capturing everything very beautifully. So if you have any other questions, and I'll actually just ask Carolyn, if you could put in the chat how many people are on the call. I saw earlier at the beginning, people were wondering if there were almost 2,000 people on the call, but I remember Jake told me yesterday those are the number of people that have registered, but it's not necessarily. So it'd be lovely if you put for all of us to see, just so we know. There were over 200 during the meditation. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear from you all what was helpful for you. Maybe with the recording, I'll include a link to that song on YouTube. So if anyone wants to learn that song, it's very good to sing these practices. That's something we would do a lot in the Plum Village tradition, is put music so we could remember them, and then they would come up when we really needed them from our unconscious mind. So I encourage you, if you enjoyed that song, to learn it. And I'll include that link in the recording. I was feeling very solid. This is from Emma. And then when you sang, I felt emotions coming up again and cried. Is it like thoughts passing by and I come back in? I think, emotions can arise in surprising times. Sometimes we are not feeling particularly emotional. We feel quite strong, focused, and then something comes in the mind and it can really color our experience for however long it's there. So it's kind of, I like to see it as like a cloud, the sun could be a sunny day, but then there's some clouds, and then maybe we don't feel the sun anymore. It's not warm, it's not bright, because there's some clouds that have covered it over. And then those clouds, they have their time frame and they pass on. So it's very normal, I think, when we are in touch with certain things. Could be singing for some, it could be tasting a food for others, it could be a smell or a touch. Those things could bring up a kind of emotion that we weren't expecting, and it's perfectly normal, and we just see it as a cloud passing through, and we don't want to ignore it, we don't want to make it wrong, but we also don't need to get identified with it. We can notice it. Here's sadness. We can smile to it, and we can allow it to move on through. The more we give space to our emotions and just let them be, then usually the more they flow through, and they don't stay stuck. If we grab onto them or make them into a problem or start thinking, we have to do something about them, that's when they tend to stick and stay. So we just let them be, and then they pass through. It's very natural. Thank you, Emma. Elodie has a question. This is quite personal, but I was wondering, what were your activities in Sri Lanka? And how you feel with the transition from being a sister to being a layperson. Thank you, Elodie. Well, the nice thing about my life is that a lot of what I did as a nun, I still get to do as a layperson, because I'm teaching meditation and mindfulness most of the time. So I work from home here in Sri Lanka. I teach different groups. I'm a mentor in a 2-year teacher training program. So I have 5 groups that I mentor every month. So we've gotten quite close over these 2 years. I have clients I meet with individually as like a spiritual mentor or a Dharma teacher friend. And then I write articles. I create guided meditations for apps. I get to teach online in places like Sangha Live. So most of my time is at home sharing meditation and mindfulness. I also teach out in society. So I've been teaching educators a mindfulness class here in Sri Lanka. I've been teaching English and mindfulness to 10 girls who live in an orphanage in Colombo. I also teach interplay at improvisational movement and body wisdom practice. I've taught that here in Sri Lanka. And I travel to the States. I lead retreats in the States and Europe and other places. Days of mindfulness, workshops. Sometimes I go into businesses and teach mindfulness. So I like my life. Thank you for the question. So, yeah, I'll also include in the recording for the friend who asked about the meditation, having it written down, I'll include a link so you can find the steps of the meditation also. Then Allison asks a question. I'm noticing quite a bit of confusion when I'm out in daily life, feeling a draw back to the present, but not able to be, and needing to have the support of teachings to gain some stability. Could you talk about that, please? Yes, thank you for that sharing. It makes sense to me that confusion would be present in us at this time, especially when everything around us is confusing. It's not clear what's true, what's real with the pandemic, what's going to happen, how are we going to manage. So in our personal lives, there could be a lot of confusion, and then in our collective experience, a lot of confusion. And this is a really hard time to be present. And so having a daily practice and many moments throughout the day where we come back and touch the here and the now, as we did in this practice, can really help us to stay grounded. And it makes total sense to me that you would feel the need to have more support of teachings to gain some stability, because it's like that image of a storm, like the winds are much stronger now in this pandemic. The rain is much harder. It's like a hurricane, not just a storm. So we really need more support than in other times in our life. And so reach out for support. So we have this daily meditation practice now. We have many online groups are starting to meet online, and there's many free, resources, teachings to help us that are being offered online. I'm personally reaching out more to my family and friends than I used to share, to check in, to get support, to offer support. And I think, one thing that also helps me to be more stable is, two things. First of all is to not resist things that are happening. That makes it more painful. So to not fight against what's happening, to find some equanimity with, okay, this is how it is. There are difficulties that are going to arise in life, and sometimes really big ones, and that's part of life, and accepting that here I am, this is what's real right now. So not resisting. And then the second piece that's been really helpful for me lately in this crisis is looking for the good. So being able to nourish myself in what's beautiful. During the curfew, we could only leave our homes twice a week for just a few hours to go shopping and do errands. And we'd always try to go walk around the lake. There's a small lake nearby, and that felt like drinking from an oasis in a desert. Just those twice a week, 30 minutes around the lake where I could really take in the birds and really take in the sky and the sounds of a flock of bright green parrots just swooping off from a palm tree. All those things, I really let them imprint in me more than I would have before when I got to go to the lake anytime I wanted. I took in all those things as very precious. Our landlords, we rent their upstairs. The wife is always bringing us wonderful food that she cooks, delicious Sri Lankan curries and treats that she makes. And so we do the same whenever we make something. Every few days we'll take them down a bowl of cashew curry, or I made a cake for my landlord's, the husband's birthday was recently, and made a lemon cake, a vegan one, because she's vegan. It was so nice to do those things. And, they taught me, for the first time, I've learned how to scrape coconut. We always used to buy coconut that was dried, grated from the store, but we decided getting more simple in our living. So we bought the coconut, and then she showed me how to crack it and release the coconut water. And then they have this old scraper. They're 35-year-old, like antique. You sit on it and then you scrape the inside of the coconut. So we had fresh grated coconut to make salads with. And so those things just bring me so much nourishment. So, maybe there's some things in your life that are nourishing you right now. Maybe there's something about having this time that is bringing new things into being that you didn't have the time for before, or you didn't have the possibility of enjoying before. So not resisting and seeing the good has been very helpful in terms of finding stability. So it's such a joy to be with you all, and I hope you can practice a few times throughout the day today. I have arrived. I am home. Try to come back to that, even if it's as you're falling asleep tonight in bed. I have arrived. I am home. You can also do it as you walk. You can bring awareness as you step. I have arrived as you step. I am home as you step. Okay. So I'll just say the steps again. Someone is asking, I have arrived. I am home. Maybe someone can add this to the chat too. Thank you for helping me. In the here, in the now. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. So good to be with you all. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow. And may you have many moments of arriving and coming home to yourself today. And thank you for typing that. Thank you all. Sending you all much loving kindness, much care. Take good care.